At the end of part 1 of my phone conversation with our new JW friend, she was struggling to find something that she wanted to direct me to. In the meantime, she decided to ask me a question. I don't know if this was her intention, but I don't think we ever did get back to whatever she was looking for. We did get into some talk about a couple of other religious groups, cults, that share some similarities with the Jehovah's Witnesses. From there, we got into a number of other topics, like Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch, which they try to compare to how they explain things. You'll hear her using the standard JW lingo that she's been trained to use. I'm not sure if JWs even know how odd the language they use sounds to us outsiders. If I wasn't already so familiar with their teachings, I would potentially really not know what she was even saying at times. And when Christians talk about biblical concepts a lot, we can be referred sometimes to as using Christianese. Maybe we can call the way JWs talk Watchtowerese, or something along those lines. Some of you mentioned in the Part 1 video comments that she sounds out of practice, which seems to make her uncomfortable at times. I think that may well be the case, as you'll hear her struggling more at times to remember her training and sales pitches. I have never said that I was looking into her religion to see if I would want to join, but that seems to be what she is assuming of me, that I'm searching for the truth and that I would find it in the Watchtower, which calls itself the truth. I've tried to explain that I like to learn about other religions and have even mentioned some of them. I'm not sure how I can gently help her to understand that I'm just learning about what she believes, not looking to join the organization. If I'm too direct about that, they may possibly write us off and disappear before we even get very far in the study. Hopefully I can convey that better over time without scaring them off. They're getting their field service hours in, so maybe that will be enough for them for the time being. FYI, there's a lot more of that crackly sound in this part. I apologize as it gets pretty loud at times. Hopefully you'll still be able to hear us anyway.
If you wanted to do a pre-study by yourself, like just to jump ahead and get into that information, I can try to find out what chapter that would be in, but just need a minute. So, can I ask you, like, are you like from a certain religious denomination, or are you just looking for truth, like?
Yeah, so I'm a Christian. I don't belong to a denomination. I do go to I go to a non-denominational church, and yeah, I love the Bible. I read it every day. And
great.
yeah, so I love to talk about, and I love to examine all kinds of religions. So
good,
yeah, including yours, including the Mormons, the Muslims. You know,
okay.
So, yeah. So I like when I get a chance to talk to you guys, because it's one thing to read something in a book or on a website, but it's there's something kind of deeper and more special when you can talk in person with someone who believes those things, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I am. Actually, it's interesting. The things you're talking about reminds me of another religion I was looking into a while ago. It's called Iglesia Ni Cristo. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
It comes out of the Philippines, actually, and it's huge there. And they're, of course, also spreading around the world, too. And they hold to from what I understand, a lot of the same beliefs as you guys do.
You know, that's funny. I just heard. Okay, when you first mentioned the name of the religion, they never. This is what I never heard that before. I heard that they were like the Philippines. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone was just telling me about that, and I never heard of them. But that's what she had mentioned. She said they're very similar to what Jehovah's Witnesses believe. And,
yeah, they seem to be. And they were started in 1914, which I understand is an important date for your religion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 1914 is that's the start of the last days of what the Bible explains the last days that we're. Yeah, that's a big. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's about 16 million members of them now. So yeah, they're really growing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's. They're interesting.
What is the name again? I want to write that down.
Yeah.
Actually.
So Iglesia Ni Cristo. I'll look it up right now and see the spelling. Yeah, so Iglesia, and then Ni, and then Cristo.
Okay. So do they use Jehovah as God's name, or do they?
As far as I know, they do. I think they use the King James as well. It's been a while since I looked into them, but
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I'm just looking. Yeah, there's a bunch of them in BC here. Actually, there's a whole pile of. Yeah, and then in Washington and. Yeah, they're all over the place.
Someone was saying too that someone was saying that a lot of the literature that we distribute, actually there's different denominations that use that literature as well.
Oh, really?
Kind of, and teach that as well, but I've never, like, this one is new for me, but they were established in 1914. That's interesting.
Yeah, I can't find, just looking at some of their websites, I'm not really seeing too much information. I gather they don't publish a whole lot of stuff. You have to kind of, like, talk to their leaders if you want to know more about them.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
And I've been learning about the Seventh-day Adventists, too, and I gather they share quite a bit of similarities with you guys as well.
Oh, okay. The Seventh-day Adventists, they believe, do they believe that, that there's going to be, like, a certain amount of number here on the earth that's going to be going to heaven, and that's that or something? Or?
At this point, I could have pointed out that no, this is a teaching that Joseph Rutherford came up with in 1935, and no one else has ever believed it other than the JWs. Ever. But I didn't want to scare her off by sharing how much I do already know about the Watchtower and its history, so I left that one alone for now. I also was trying to think if the Adventists had developed anything similar to it, but couldn't think of anything, and, well, I don't think they have ever taught anything like that. Though they do have the same roots as the Watchtower and do share a number of the same teachings. Check out my post in the community tab about Seventh-day Adventists. I posted a link to an interview that Cultish did with some former Adventists who had a lot to share about the church's teachings and history. It's really wild how much they are like the JWs and how much history they both share.
I'm not sure about that one. I know they believe that Jesus is Michael the Archangel.
Oh, okay.
And that the end is...
Which that's true.
Yeah, and that the end is coming very soon, and to be prepared for that to happen any minute now, I guess. Yeah, there were some other things I can't think of right now, though.
Yeah. I guess, that's kind of common for, it's pretty undeniable that we're living in the last days now, like, with all that's going on. Is that something new to you, or?
No, I think it's possible we're in the last days. I think that there's been a lot of a lot of dark days that have, have come and gone over, the last 2,000 years, that people have for a long time been like, well, this is it, any day now it's going to happen, right? So, I mean, from what I understand in your religion, that they believed that first they were teaching that Jesus would come back in like the late 1800s, and then they had another prediction for 1914 of being the end of Armageddon and stuff like that. So that was really popular in those days, though. There were lots of people that were saying that kind of stuff and making predictions and saying these are for sure the last days. And, I think I kind of take on the idea that it could be the last days, and so we should always be prepared and always sharing Jesus with the lost, and live according to that. But I don't know. I don't know if he will return today or in 2,000 years or longer. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why, this is one thing that, I wasn't always one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and many, will attest to this, that, there's just so much information that will not surprise you, but it will surprise you, but in a pleasing way, because, there's so much depth to, that question, but there's so much information and, study guides to help us to see the scriptures really clearly of, the time that we are actually living in, like the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation go really into depth about world powers and, when Jesus was on earth, his disciples had asked him, what would be specific signs that this all takes time to go through the scriptures and see, but it's quite amazing to see. Just to go into some of those scriptures, and that's why having a Bible study, I really suggest having a Bible study just to get the education, and you can make up your own, decisions, obviously.
Sure.
But it's very, very interesting, just what you will learn, studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, like the literature, and even simple truths sometimes, we may read, but when we actually studied and, go into really trying to apply or cultivate different aspects of, what we're learning in the Bible, is just, you can see how beneficial it can be, Yeah. But,
I was curious, if you don't mind. I'm curious how you became a witness.
So
Her story of how she became a witness is so generic that I don't mind sharing the whole thing here. She doesn't share any personal information, and honestly, it sounds so very much like so many other stories I've heard from witnesses, and so much like the ones they tell on their website, that I really have to wonder, is this just something they're taught to say regardless of their personal history? Or is it just that they're more successful in getting converts out of Rome and into the Watchtower than pretty much from anywhere else? Maybe it's an easy transition from one organization to another with a similar structure, but also a lot of proof text to try and support their ever-changing teachings?
I was going to different religions, actually. I was raised a Catholic.
Okay.
But then I was raised a Catholic, and I didn't really know much about anything, when I was going to church when I was growing up. But I kind of lost spiritual interest when I got into my teens. But then my later teens, I really started questioning certain things again in life, and I started looking into different religions and trying to read the Bible, and same as you, looking at different religions. And
what religions if you don't mind my asking, what religions did you look into? If you remember.
Not in depth, but I did. I remember I went. It's kind of funny now that I know, but I do remember I even went to the Trinity Church once just because I didn't know. I just and then I heard some things, different religions that I knew it wasn't right, even though I hadn't like really studied the Bible. I knew it wasn't right. And when I started studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses, just the same, I had a whole bunch of questions that were answered all from the Bible. And also, questions I didn't even know I had were brought up as well. And so, that's what, I would recommend for you to experience for yourself, just to go through and have, in an organized study, because the literature we have basically will cover every single aspect. And if, you want more about a certain topic, there's more information.
Okay.
So, you'll have your questions definitely answered, and just being able, but I think an important part of me becoming one of Jehovah's Witnesses is that I really started to see Jehovah's hand in my life as well. Like I, just seeing Jehovah in my hand, in my life, and you'll hear this. You'll hear countless stories of people praying and just looking for truth in one aspect or another, just looking for Jehovah, or looking for answers, and you'll see that, like coming to know Him and praying to Him and asking for Him to guide you and giving you accurate knowledge of truth. You'll see that. I guarantee you'll see that if you're looking to Him. Like not to look to an organization per se, like what are you going to tell me right now? It's looking to Him, and we're just all imperfect humans, but at the same time we're learning from Him as well, and that's who we look to, and we can, in studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses, you'll be able to see that,
Okay.
You'll see that He is,
Do you think if someone were to just read the Bible by itself, that they would come to believe in the Jehovah's Witnesses teachings?
No. Okay, there's an example of that. Like, and I'm not saying that no, they won't get the truth, because they'll learn the truth through the Bible, and with, but there's actually a topic about that as well. And have you ever heard of the account in Isaiah with the Ethiopian? There was one of the Isaiah was a prophet at the time,
are you thinking of Philip? Are you thinking of Philip in the New Testament, who the Holy Spirit took to the Ethiopian eunuch and explained to him the book of Isaiah that he was reading?
Oh, okay, you're familiar with that. Okay,
yeah.
So and then anyway, you're right. Okay, that's really good. You're very familiar with the Bible. That's really that's awesome. That's really awesome. So so having someone to kind of help us understand the Bible more clearly.
That story was that's where Philip was when he heard Ethiopian reading from Isaiah, and he said, "Do you know what this means?" And he said, "How can I know unless someone explains it?" And then and then Philip explained to him that it was about Jesus, right? So he was basically telling him the New Testament information that he didn't have available to him yet because it hadn't actually been written down yet. So so that would all be the Bible then, right? So
right.
But you're saying that there has to be additional information on top of that now?
No, not additional information, but just kind of having someone to guide, just to say, like, even he said, how could I? No, he asked him if he knew what he was reading, and he said, how could I if I had unless I had someone to explain it to me. So basically, it goes back to who Jesus is using right now as the one who's feeding the sheep, and
so the Bible isn't enough on its own to direct people to understand what you guys believe, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
As usual, we'll pick up right here next time.